So in Luke chapter 20, verses 20 through 26, Jesus is continuing to have these conversations with disciples and religious leaders, and they're all in and around the temple. They're in and around the sort of center of Jewish life, and they're testing Jesus. They're looking for, I guess, opportunities to trip him up, to find ways to trap him into saying the wrong things so that they can be justified in their hatred, because he just keeps saying things that honestly, it points out their sin, it points out their shallowness of their faith. And so they have this conversation with Jesus around taxes. It's a very sort of practical conversation that they're asking Jesus, should you pay taxes to Caesar, or should you just follow God only, right? And they have this sort of segmented, siloed view of the world, and sort of a very narrow view of faith that says either you follow God and so you reject the laws of the state, or you follow the laws of the state and therefore you could never possibly follow God. And so Jesus gives this answer to them, where essentially he asked them for a coin, and there would have been lots of coins, but he asked for a very specific coin that would have had a picture of Caesar on it, and he asked whose face is on it, and of course they say Caesar. And so his response is, give to Caesar what is Caesar's and give to God what is God's. And essentially Jesus is giving them a very, very simple answer, and that is just that our faith and our life is not meant to be compartmentalized. It isn't meant to be, well, if I'm following God, then I reject everything of the state, or I follow the state and therefore I can't possibly love God. But actually, it falls right back into those two commandments that Jesus gave us, to love God with all our heart, soul, mind, and strength, and to love your neighbor as yourself. That God says, Jesus says, we follow God fully. We love God with everything that we have, but we still love our neighbor. We still care about the people and the world around us. So we're still obedient to our leaders and our rulers. We follow the laws of the government, the state, wherever we live. We submit ourselves to those things. We love God first, and then we love the people around us. And so there's this sense then that Jesus is saying our faith is not meant to be compartmentalized. It's not meant to be, I'm a Christian when I'm at church, but then, I can be shady when I'm at work, or I can be unkind to people that aren't like me, or I can be... Jesus would have been at the front of justice. Jesus would have been down working at House of Bread, caring for people who needed an extra hand. Jesus would have been at the Black Lives Matter protest saying people matter, lives matter. Jesus would be wholeheartedly supporting the laws of the government when it says we're meant to care for other people by wearing a mask or sitting far away. Or Jesus would have done that not because he didn't care about God, but saying that the way that I demonstrate my love for God is by the way that I care for people around me. It's not compartmentalized. My faith then has an influence. It has an influence on the way that I work when I'm at my job. It has an influence on the kind of boss I am, or the kind of employee I am. It has an influence on the kind of student or parent I am. That my faith isn't compartmentalized to one day a week or 1 hour a day, but that my faith is a part of every decision that I make. And so therefore, I'm going to love God with everything I have, but also I'm going to love people, and I'm going to demonstrate my love for God with the way that I love others.